Hi, everybody. It is Wednesday evening. It's Region Weather Meteorologist Matt Wintz. You know what time it is. It's Region Weather Live time. So we're going to talk not just the storm potential the rest of the evening, which is really going to be quite a dud locally, but we're going to look ahead to the Easter weekend as well, as we've got an active pattern that's going to bring some showers in this weekend as well. So we'll try to time those out. And then, as always, we'll go over the next 10 days. We'll take a look at the long-term forecasts to know if we have any more warm air in the forecasts. The way the spring's going, maybe not. We'll talk about it all in this Wednesday evening edition of Region Weather Live. All right, and thanks for joining us, everybody. I hope you had a wonderful rain-filled spring-like day. We have not seen severe weather locally, and I'm not anticipating any tonight either because the bulk of that activity, as we mentioned, option A and option B last night, it's down towards the south. So they're getting hit hard in Louisville right now. Downstate, they had some strong winds and severe thunderstorm warnings, but the bulk of this action stretches from Kentucky all the way down towards the Gulf Coast. Thankfully, south of the region, that's the way it's going to stay as we go throughout the evening. So you probably noticed a new setting. I am at work tonight. We're doing the late night shift tonight and tomorrow. So you get a brand new backdrop instead of, the spider mites and whatever it is in our little studio back at home. But I hope you have some tart cherry juice and you're ready to go here because we've got lots to talk about. I want to thank the sponsors, Tiger Plumbing. They're a wonderful sponsor, Northwest Indiana. They sent me a stat and I totally didn't write it down, but something like a leaky faucet wastes like 20 gallons of water a day or something like that. Does anyone have leaky faucets at home? Because if you do, Tiger Plumbing, the place to go, tigerplumbing.net out of the Highland area. They come out for free, and that already saves you enough money on that leaky faucet for sure. I'll get that stat down for them, but great folks there. Also, Grieger's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, want to thank them for their sponsorship as well, especially during these severe weather events. They keep, obviously, all of our stuff running in terms of radars and all the software that we have to pay for. So we appreciate them. They've got brand new Jeeps on the line this year as well, which are fantastic. They just posted one on their Facebook page, so give them a follow as well. All right, let's get into the map, shall we? I want to start big picture with the storm system because you can just see it on the map. It takes up the entire eastern half of the country right now. What we're looking at here is the infrared satellite. So the bright reds that you see, especially down towards the south, that's really the really cold cloud tops associated with the big thunderstorms that they have down there. And you can see that big squall line that extends all the way down towards the Gulf Coast. They've had numerous tornado warnings ongoing. Although looking at this event the last 3 days, this was predicted. We never said this. I want to make that clear, but this was predicted by a lot of people to be a huge blockbuster severe weather event over the last 3 days. They had 9 tornado reports Monday, 9 on Tuesday. 9 isn't that many, relatively speaking. It's enough, right? One's enough, especially if you live in that area. But those are really some pretty low numbers, and numbers today coming in pretty low as well. So this has not been the blockbuster tornado event that was foreseen by some of the modeling, some of the hype meteorologists that are out there as well. Trust me, I saw a lot of that clickbait out there, and it had the potential for that. So I don't think that was the intention of a lot of people. But thankfully, we're going to get this system out of here without severe weather here locally. And for a lot of folks that perhaps that severe weather was looking pretty likely over the last couple of days. Still have to keep our eyes on the deep south, though. They've got severe weather down there. Louisville's got a decent storm right now southeast of town. There's a lot of rotation with that. But for us, you can see how the bulk of the action's down towards the south. This area of low pressure goes and spirals up in the Dakotas. They've got day 2 of a blizzard in North Dakota right now. They're measuring some 20 to 25 inches of snow with this. It has been a rough go for the Dakotas with 60-mile-per-hour wind on top of it. How about that? So where do we go from here? I think that's the big question. I'll take you through some of the modeling, and then we'll talk our Easter weekend. But boy, the models have really handled this. If you joined us last night, we were talking about option A and option B. Option A was that the rain goes through and that line forms off towards our west and rolls through here, right? That would have been the same line that's down to the south right now. Option B was the one that the models were picking up on, a little bit more familiarity in terms of the discrepancies on it. They all kind of look familiar in the way they looked. And that kept the storms down to the south with that rain this afternoon. That's exactly how things played out. And you can see models have a good handle on it right now. We've got stronger storms that'll be downstate. They'll roll through Cincinnati and southern Ohio tonight. We still have a frontal boundary off towards our west, so we could still see some gusty downpours as this line rolls through. But overall, I'm not anticipating severe weather with this. But we are going to be dealing with some strong winds, not just tonight, but especially tomorrow as this low ramps up. But they're not going to be thunderstorm winds tomorrow, just a general wind. So that's exactly what we're dealing with. As we go through time tomorrow, watch what happens. You can see how things clear out pretty quickly. We're going to go sunny during the day tomorrow, and we're going to stay sunny throughout the day tomorrow. It's going to be really windy, but we're going to have the sunshine. Temperature is going to come down in the morning hours. Actually, over the next couple hours, we'll fall back into the 40s. We'll try to recover back into the 50s tomorrow. I think mid-50s ought to do it, but it's going to be a windy, sunny day, but lots of wind around. Gusts could be over 40 at times, maybe even 45 at times. As we get into your Thursday night and Friday, the trough, that big circulating area of low pressure off towards our north, will start to settle south. Along the southern periphery of that, we're going to get some disturbances that come along, or areas of energy in the atmosphere, and those will push in Thursday night and Friday, and those will bring us scattered shower chances. So the clouds will increase. They'll kind of bubble up late Thursday, especially Thursday night, and then we're dealing with these scattered shower chances. Not a washout by any means, but you notice how the rain just kind of lines up, shower, dry, on into your Friday, and that boundary just sets right over us. So it looks kind of showery around here Friday, and that will likely linger into Saturday before that trough starts to pull out. So that's going to come in with some cooler air as well. We've been highlighting that. It is going to get cooler this weekend, but we should dry things out for the Easter egg hunts on Saturday. And then Sunday, for your Easter Sunday, we're looking not too bad. I think we're going to have to watch for some showers off towards the west, and I'll show you that here with some of the modeling here. So I'm going to pick this up on Easter Sunday. You notice where we start. We're cold. We've got cooler air in here, right? We'll probably be in the 30s in the morning. As we get into the afternoon, we'll be watching clouds increase from the west. Those clouds will likely be on the precipice of some rain and even some snow mix coming out of the Iowa area. And that's going to move in here, I think, late day Sunday. So Easter Sunday, at least to start, looks okay. If you have latter day plans, whether it be, a late dinner, family dinner, whatever it happens to be, we'll be watching for some rain to push in. Doesn't look like a slam dunk system. Some of the models have two separate lows. The GFS keeps it together. So we're just going to have some rain and maybe some flakes in the forecast Sunday night. We won't talk about that. But as we get into next week, it does look like a cooler pattern. Big area of low pressure circles around, much like we've had over the last couple weeks. And that doesn't look to have a whole lot of staying power, but it does look like we're going to stay cooler for the beginning of next week. And then it matters on which model you like. So the GFS model keeps us cool all the way through the following weekend, but the Euro model has a nice warm-up for us. It has this big push of warm air, widespread 70s and 80s. I want to lean Euro, but I just can't at this point. So we'll go 50s and 60s to end next week. But it does look like a pretty quiet week. That's the good news in terms of severe weather. I don't see any severe weather events across the nation or locally, right? We don't really get this one. But overall, it looks to be pretty quiet week overall. So we'll take that. All right. So that's what we're dealing with weather-wise. Until then, we're going to have to continue to monitor the storms tonight, and then we'll kind of lay back and just see how this weekend unfolds in terms of some of the cooler temperatures that settle into the area. Okay. All right. So let's talk. If you guys have any questions, feel free to hop on and ask a question on here. If there's anything you have to do, I'm seeing Kimberly's already. She has garbage out for tomorrow's pickup. How are the wind gusts looking for this evening and early AM? So this evening, Kimberly, we're going to have to watch the line along the actual front that's coming in here. We're going to have to keep an eye on that as it moves in because that could have some gusty winds because we've got a strong jet stream up above us. And some of these showers, especially along that front, are bringing some of that strong wind down to the surface. So tonight we'll have to watch out for gusts, and then it really kicks up tomorrow. We can look at some of the anticipated gusts here. This is your wind gust forecast here. This is one model's take. That's what I'm talking about tonight. Right there, you can see there's some gusts over 30, maybe 40 at times with some of the showers. And then tomorrow we'll likely start pretty calm wind. We'll likely have winds 5 to 15. That's not bad, right? But then in the afternoon on the southern base of this trough, boy, does it get windy. Look at some of these gusts that develop. Well, we're losing that now. We'll go back. Look at some of these wind gusts that develop tomorrow afternoon. Widespread 40-mile-per-hour gusts across the region. They're looking pretty widespread. The wind will likely be out of the west or the southwest, somewhere around there, kind of veering back and forth. So if it's an early pickup tomorrow, I'd say you'd be okay. If they usually come in the afternoon, you might need to really weigh down that trash can or pick it up from your neighbor's yard, because that might be where we're headed from that. Let's see. Kathy asked a good question. She says, is there a reason or cause as to why it's been so windy in the last year or more? We've had some decent wind events, Kathy. There's not a cause for it. We don't really track wind as a trend, much like we don't really track cloud cover versus sunshine as a trend. But in terms of the wind, the jet stream is usually what drives that. Or the other thing that drives it's the difference between warm air and cold air, which is usually where the jet stream is. But this time of year, in the spring and in the fall, the jet stream tends to fluctuate over the region. So we tend to get some very windy days. You get strong areas of low pressure around here. Whereas in the summer, the jet stream lifts well to the north. We get a lot of high pressure around here, and even the low pressures are weak. So there's not a lot of wind in the summer outside of thunderstorm events. So this just tends to be the time of year that we get these windy events. Winter is too, because you're not involving the subtropical jet, which is what we have now. You're involving the Arctic jet. So you tend to get those Arctic air masses with the strong winds. So certainly, going to be interesting in terms of where we go from here this spring. But I would imagine we get less windy days as we go out from here. Okay. Marilyn brings up a good point. Easter could be worse, still hiding eggs in the snow. Yeah, we had some snow around here April 20th and 21st last year. So it could be a lot worse. Shana, great point here. You're so over the 20s and 30s. And I know a lot of people are sick of having the heat on in the house. We may have a few more mornings like that, but the 20s and 30s, I did some research, gosh, it was like 2 weeks ago now, that we're done with the 30s. Typically, climatologically, we typically don't have any more 30-degree days for highs. So that'd be 38, 39 degrees. From here on out, typically we have 40-degree days, or 50s or 60s or 70s or 80s, right? So in terms of the 20s, can't rule them out at night, but in terms of daytime highs, we should be done with 20s and 30s for highs climatologically. Isn't that great? Let's see. Yeah, that's interesting. So Mike brings up a good point. When you talk about height forecasters, can you explain why they do that? Absolutely. So in our field, there are forecasters who just like to keep it real, right? To talk about what the forecast is actually going to do, because you have to ask the reason behind people's forecasts sometime. A lot of times on Twitter, people want likes and follows, right? So they put something out, and that's really where I saw the bulk of the I don't want to even say misinformation, because it's all a forecast, but that's where I saw a lot of the big forecasts saying huge severe weather event. This is the worst I've seen. I saw that last week from several people, storm chasers. There's some meteorologists that do that, and you have to ask why. A lot of them are just trying to get clicks and follows, right? I don't care if you like the page. I don't care if you follow the page. I'm trying to bring you something useful and real. And I mean, we keep it real in terms of the forecasting. Like if I don't know how it's going to play out, right, we'll give you the options and we'll say, we don't really know, like we're unsure about it. If it's something we can handle, we say it's something we can handle, right? Not everything has to be a big deal. And as I speak, I've got the Weather Channel on next to me, and everything is just so overblown with them. They have great storm coverage. It's a great product, but man, some of the stuff on there is just so flashy, and I just can't stand that. And so you have to ask the reason why someone's doing something. And oftentimes that's for either clicks or likes or follows or shares, because they get a lot of revenue through that, right? Thankfully, our sponsors don't care how many clicks or likes or shares we get, right? We're not giving them reports every week saying, hey, this doom and gloom forecast really, really got some clicks. And that's oftentimes, unfortunately, what some other forecasters are doing. So I hope that helps. Allison, me too, for sure. Maxwell, yeah. So there is, when the sun is out, it heats the ground, right? And when the ground heats up, you get updrafts, you get rising air when the heat rises, right? So when the sun comes out, ground heats up, heat rises. And what that does is it gets the atmosphere flowing. You have rising air, and because you have rising air, you have to replace that air. So then you get falling air. You often have some downdrafts. And so that gets everything kind of circulating in the atmosphere. So you're right. When the sun is out, we typically get stronger winds around here, which is going to play well tomorrow with sunny skies and very strong winds during the afternoon, right? That's not the only cause for it, but that certainly is going to be one of the things tomorrow. Mike, second question. That's okay. Questions are free. I saw some of the stronger storms earlier move out over the lake. If a tornado or water spout forms over the lake, how do they issue that warning? Would it still be a tornado warning? No, they would put a marine advisory out for it. For the boaters, kind of have their own language, kind of like airplanes and aviators do. They have an aviation forecast that's specific for them. So they would issue a marine forecast that would say, hey, this storm has the potential of producing a water spout or tornado out over the water. What they would do, though, if that storm were expected to come on land, which with those storms earlier today, they were heading up towards Michigan, right? So then the Weather Service in Michigan would take that and say, okay, it still has a water spout, still producing a tornado. So they would go ahead and issue the tornado warning over land up in Michigan or wherever that happens to be. A lot of times storms do different things out over the water where, let's say we did have a big tornado on the ground north of Chicago. That storm would head out over the water, and that tornado and that storm wouldn't have the same atmosphere out over the water. Keep in mind, Lake Michigan water is pretty chilly right now. So you have a big dome of cooler air out over that, and it's much more stable air. That doesn't always make it more stable in terms of, the storm as it moves out over the water, but it would tend to tear that tornado apart, whereas water spouts are formed a little bit differently, especially in the fall when the water's warmer. That's a whole different thing, but it's kind of interesting. But that's a wonderful question you had for sure. Kathy, you're welcome. Absolutely. Yeah, no, your questions are great. Like, your questions keep this going. And again, the whole service that we want to provide is being informative and helpful and keeping you safe through events, which thankfully we didn't have to do tonight. I was ready to go live tonight with some of these storms, but we didn't have to. So that's some good news. Okay. So just a recap for any of those of you that just joined, our severe weather threat is nil tonight. We might have some gusty winds with showers. Winds are going to pick up tomorrow. We're going to go sunny pretty quickly around here, but it's going to be a very windy day. We'll have winds likely gusting over 40, 45 at times with sunshine tomorrow during the day. Temperatures trying to bounce back near 55 or so. So not a bad day, but very windy. And then as we get into the weekend, especially Friday, we'll start to dance with some showers as this trough kind of settles in. We'll still have some showers around, especially early Saturday, but by afternoon, we look okay. Easter Sunday looks good right now. We're going to be watching a system out towards the west that's moving in. So Easter Sunday evening perhaps may have some showers around here. And the next week looks kind of cool right now, but then the models diverge on the Tuesday, Wednesday timeframe. Euro goes really warm for a while, which would be so nice. The GFS kind of keeps us cool and trophy. So we'll see where we go from there. Those models will have better solution as we go through time. Okay. All right. So that's about it. All right. We'll let you go. I appreciate you guys joining me tonight. We'll keep you updated. Have a safe night. Drink some tart cherry juice and get some sleep. All right. Thanks, everybody.